Have you ever wondered how an ordinary man can turn into a charismatic leader, capable of leading hundreds to their doom? This is the enigma of cults and their charismatic leaders, a phenomenon that has perplexed society for centuries. Take for instance the chilling tale of Jim Jones, an American cult leader who managed to orchestrate a mass murder-suicide, leading to the deaths of over 900 members of his cult, the People's Temple. Today, we delve into the life of Jim Jones, a man who would become an infamous symbol of such leadership. Born into poverty and neglect in Indiana, Jones's early life was far from extraordinary. Yet within this mundane existence, the seeds of an exceptional, if not notorious life, were being sown. James Warren Jones, better known as Jim Jones, was born into a family struggling under the weight of financial hardship. His father's disability served as a cruel reminder of their predicament, a constant specter of the economic struggles they faced. The family's meager existence was a far cry from the affluence and prosperity that many associate with the American dream. In this context of hardship and deprivation, Jones found solace in the spiritual realm. From a tender age, he developed a fascination with religion and death, two themes that would later become central to his life and leadership. His interest in these themes was not merely academic, it was profound and deeply personal. He would often engage in unusual behaviors and make extraordinary claims, suggesting that he possessed unique abilities. These early experiences and interests were not random, they were the building blocks of a personality that would later captivate and control hundreds of followers. Jones's charisma, his ability to charm and persuade, was rooted in his early life experiences. His understanding of hardship, his engagement with religion and death, and his belief in his unique abilities all contributed to his future role as a charismatic preacher. This troubled and unusual childhood would set the stage for Jones's future as a charismatic preacher. It was a stage that would host one of the most controversial and tragic episodes of the 20th century. Jones's charisma and interest in religion led him to become a preacher, attracting followers through his civil rights activism and socialist ideals. James Warren Jones, known simply as Jim Jones, was no ordinary man. He was a charismatic figure with a magnetic charm that drew people to him. His journey to becoming a preacher was fueled by his deep-seated interest in religion and a need to make a difference in the world. In the mid-50s, Jones founded the People's Temple. It was a religious organization, but it was more than just a church. It was a movement, a beacon of hope for those who felt marginalized and voiceless. Jones's sermons were a unique blend of spiritualism and social activism, a potent mix that attracted a diverse group of followers. Jones was a strong advocate for civil rights. He championed the cause of racial equality, making the People's Temple one of the first racially integrated churches in the United States. His commitment to social justice was unwavering, and it resonated with his followers. This wasn't just about religion, it was about creating a better world, a world free of discrimination and inequality. His socialist ideals were also a key part of his appeal. Jones envisioned a society where wealth was shared, where everyone had an equal stake and an equal say. He preached about the virtues of communal living, of working together for the common good. This sense of community, of belonging, was a powerful draw for many who joined the People's Temple. But as Jones's influence grew, so did his control over his followers. He started to dictate every aspect of their lives, from what they ate and wore, to who they could associate with. He held the power to grant or withhold privileges, to reward or punish. His word was law, and his followers obeyed. As his influence grew, so did his control over his followers. As Jones's power increased, reports of abuse within his cult began to circulate. The People's Temple, under the leadership of Jim Jones, was far from the utopia it was made out to be. As Jones's influence grew, so did his control over his followers. He began to manipulate their lives, dictating their actions, their thoughts, and even their beliefs. This control was not benign. It was a tool of abuse, wielded with a ruthless disregard for the well-being of his followers. Jones's charisma and passionate speeches about equality and justice were a veneer, hiding the sinister reality of life within the People's Temple. Reports began to surface of physical and psychological abuse. Followers were punished for questioning Jones's decisions, for showing any signs of doubt. They were isolated from their families and friends outside the cult, their ties to the outside world severed. Jones's control extended to the most intimate aspects of his followers' lives. He manipulated their fears and desires, their hopes and dreams. He used their trust in him, their belief in his vision, to tighten his grip on them. This was not leadership, it was tyranny. As the abuse escalated, so too did the fear. Jones's followers were trapped in a cycle of dependence and fear, their lives controlled by a man who claimed to be their savior. They were victims of a charismatic leader who used his power not to uplift, but to oppress. This increasing abuse and control would ultimately lead to a tragic event that shocked the world. In 1978, Jones orchestrated a mass murder-suicide in Jonestown, Guyana, resulting in the deaths of 909 members, including 304 children. This event, known as the Jonestown Massacre, is one of the most horrific tragedies in modern history. Jones, who had relocated his followers from the United States to Guyana, had created a community that was cut off from the outside world. As the walls closed in, Jones's control over his followers tightened. Amidst reports of abuse, the U.S. government began investigating the People's Temple. Jones, feeling the pressure, initiated a plan he referred to as revolutionary suicide. He convinced or coerced his followers to drink cyanide-laced fruit punch, leading to a horrific scene of mass death. The images and stories that emerged from Jonestown shocked the world. The tragedy was not just the loss of life, but the psychological manipulation and control that led to such a devastating event. This catastrophic incident served as a stark wake-up call, forever changing society's perception of cults. The aftermath of Jonestown led to increased scrutiny of religious groups and a new understanding of how charismatic leaders can manipulate their followers. The tragedy also led to a shift in how society views the balance between religious freedom and the potential for abuse. The story of Jim Jones serves as a chilling reminder of the power of charismatic leadership, and the potential for such power to lead to unimaginable tragedy. It's a stark lesson in the dangers of unchecked power and blind obedience, a lesson that continues to resonate today.